I moved to Japan at the age of 25 and became a DJ in my spare time. So I used to play clubs in Japan.
What if I told you that Marc Moorghen, VP of Marketing at Lever for Change, is good at his job today because he clocked a ton of hours in the club?
In the club, we all fam.
It actually had a lot of aspects of my current position and things that I've done throughout my career. So they definitely did lend themselves, and the artistry of it too, being able to communicate with different people and choose something that's going to speak to them. We've been in existence since 2019, and in that time, we've helped influence more than $2.5 billion.
That's a billion with a B. I'm Camila Rente, and this is Impact After Hours, a show about pursuing a life of impact on and off the clock. Marc, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Camila. I'm very happy to be here.
Before you became an artist in the social impact space, you used to do something else. And I don't remember if you do this professionally or as a hobby. You used to DJ.
Yes. A long, long time ago, I used to DJ. Yes.
Please tell us the story there. What kind of music did you used to play? Why DJing?
I think the music thing goes back as far as I can remember. Okay. One of the earliest memories I have is of picking records out of my parents' record collection before I could even read. So I would pull out the Beatles and Elvis Presley by the spine. So somehow I recognized the spine of the records. So if that does not foretell a future DJ, I don't know what will. So I've always loved music. When I was a kid, I moved around a lot. I always got to talk to other people in different countries and different languages through music. It was always a shared language. And in the 90s, I was into electronic music. And,
all right.
I moved to Japan at the age of 25 and became a DJ in my spare time. So I used to play clubs in Japan.
Oh my God.
For about 3 years. So
how was that experience for you? Like, did you, was there anything from that time of your life that you might have brought to your career now?
Yes. Surprisingly, yes, is the short answer. I think graphic design, a lot of that came out of the club experience, learning how to design flyers and posters and things like that. I was self-taught, but it was a way of getting into that. Organizing events.
Yes.
Promotion, diplomacy, business. It actually had a lot of aspects of my current position and things that I've done throughout my career. So they definitely did lend themselves, and the artistry of it too, being able to communicate with different people and choose something that's going to speak to them. At the same time that I was into music and pursuing that for fun, the creative outlet, I was also working, you were talking about the different jobs that you've done. I was working on early internet things like websites and blogs and working in event organizing companies and education and all of these different things that actually served me really, really well when I moved into the nonprofit world. And the book that kind of changed it for me there's one up there, PR, The Social History of Spin by Stuart Hueman. When I first came to the States, I went to the local library and I took that book out, and it made me realize that you can do what we do in my profession, communications. You can do it for good.
Yes.
And it changed my life. I read the book and it really made me think about things differently. And I kind of actively chose to come into this profession because it made me realize, I can apply all of these things, these skill sets to do something that actually can make a difference. So again, make it count.
How would you explain what Lever for Change does?
Very simply put, Lever for Change connects nonprofits and donors. We're a nonprofit ourselves, and our whole reason for being is to drive more funding to more nonprofits. So we partner with foundations and ultra high net worth individuals and companies, and financial intermediaries, all kinds of different people who are trying to fund good causes and causes with impact, but who sometimes face an overwhelming choice or don't have the infrastructure, like they don't have a foundation necessarily. And Lever for Change provides the expertise and the curation, I'd say, and also the advice in terms of how to go about running a process of finding lots and lots of organizations and then trying to fund as many of them as possible.
And you do this thing called, is it like an open call or open calls? What is that?
So an open call, typically for anything, is making an announcement saying this thing is happening and we invite you to come in and either apply or audition or, whatever context it is. And for us, what that means is we recognize that we don't necessarily have the best ideas or know everybody in the ecosystem. So we do an open call and we make a public announcement and we'll say, this is the topic that's being funded. Here's the amount of money that's going to be given out at the end of this process. Here's the timeline. Here are the evaluators. Here is the process. It's all very open. And then we invite people basically to take a kind of quiz. It's an automated quiz to figure out if they're a good fit, because we don't want people to waste their time. And then if they're a good fit, they apply and they go through this process and then they're able to access a lot of funding. So it's basically the opposite of the traditional philanthropy model, which is don't call us, we'll call you.
Yes.
And we do not accept unsolicited proposals. Is something that grant seekers hear a lot. And what we've done is kind of flip that on its head, and we say, bring us your big, bold ideas and we'll consider them and try to get you funding.
So just to nerd out just a little bit, so I am familiar with the term called an RFP, right? Like a request for proposal. It's quite different from that.
Yes, an RFP is very structured. There's a methodology to it. It's very competitive, and typically it favors people who are very good at an RFP process, putting proposals together. I know this because at one point I was a consultant and I tried to do RFPs for work. With an open call, I think it's a lighter lift. It's much more open and inclusive.
Yes,
it's very clear upfront about who's getting funded, why, and how. So it just basically opens the door and it demystifies the process for people. And
can you walk us through one recent, I think, open call that you did? And I know there was a big, exciting announcement from your team at Lever for Change.
Sure. We just announced the awardees of the Action for Women's Health open call, which we ran with Pivotal, which is an organization from Melinda French Gates. And we awarded $250 million to 80 plus organizations through that process. So that was really exciting. And that was just a couple of short weeks ago. So the organizations are all very excited right now and celebrating. And it means more money to more people and more communities who really need it in this moment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I started to think about as I was, sort of digging into your work a little bit more. These are new. This is a type of news, or this is a type of an announcement that needs to be out there more, because obviously there's a lot that happened with like funding for nonprofits this year, in 2025. But you're saying this one open call that you did, you said 250 million, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And what in the history of Lever for Change, can you just walk us through like some of the numbers, like organizations that you've funded or you've helped fund, and the dollar amount, just to get people excited, because we need all the optimism we can get.
I agree. It's of the moment, and at the same time, I will just recognize that we've been working on this for the past year plus, I'd say year and a half.
Yes.
So it's of the moment, and at the same time, there was a long preparation for this.
Yep.
That preceded anything that's happening now. But the timing was very good. So to give a few other examples, we worked with Yield Giving, which is Mackenzie Scott's organization, and gave out $641 million in total to, I think it was 290 organizations. It was a mind-boggling number of awardees, and made a huge difference, I think. We've worked with the Lego Foundation and on early childhood development, and helped distribute, I think it was $117 million. We're working on one currently for Golf Futures, the Golf Futures Challenge, which is 50 million. We just launched another one with Capital One Foundation. So all kinds of funders and topics. It's really exciting. And I think the eye-popping number is really the total.
Yes.
So we've been in existence since 2019. And in that time, we've helped influence more than $2.5 billion. Half of that through the open calls. And then the other half of that, which is the untold story really, which is follow-on funding. So funding that happens after the open calls. So people see the open calls and it's really exciting and it's big news. But then actually the interesting part of it to me is after all of that, we continue to look for funding.
Oh my gosh.
Not just for the awardees, but for the finalists, for the top ranked organizations. So our team goes out and then continues to look for funding and tries to get funding for as many organizations as possible.
I'm so glad that we're playing this sort of small role in amplifying the work that you do, because you said, there is obviously that big number and the big announcement, but there is that relationship with the organizations. You're building this, sort of ecosystem of funders and donors, and then the people who are on the field.
Correct.
Doing the hard work.
And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to our team, because there are 23 of us. We're a small group at a nonprofit. And sometimes people ask me, how do you guys manage to do what you do with 23 people? And I think the magic actually is that we have 23 extraordinary people on our team. And this is the story of so many nonprofits out there where, it's the people who actually make that happen. And there is a degree of magic to this, right? There is artistry and magic and a lot of labor too. We work very hard at this. And so I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody on the Lever for Change team, but also all of the people you don't see behind the scenes who are partners who make this happen. There are lots and lots of people involved.
What's the most surprising lesson you've learned from your current role, Marc?
On a personal level, I think what it's told me is that, and I've been saying that a lot this year, we don't have as much agency as we would like, but we have more agency than we think. And I think that's been the biggest surprise for me, that so many people are actually doing so much great work right now. And I think there's an element of frustration and confusion and chaos. And at the same time, people are still doing the work and people are still getting up every day and focusing on their missions and doing incredible things. And that's been another great lesson for me, just to see that the world continues and people are future focused.
We have more agency than we think. We could have stopped the interview right there, Marc, and call it a day. But okay, so impact sometimes can be a very abstract word, and sometimes it could be a buzzword. But what mistake do you think people make most often in search of wanting to make an impact?
I mean, it's a good question. Because there are different types of impacts too. There are people who give money. There are people who do the work on the ground. There are all kinds of different groups. I think not adapting, I think, is probably the biggest mistake. But I think that applies to every sector. I think that, so I can talk about from my own experience. I've lived my whole life. From year to year, it's been completely different. It's been a life of change. I was born in South London and lived around the world in different places, and I've done different kinds of jobs. And I'm here in this moment doing this, but all of it counts.
Yes. And
I think the adaptability part of it is key. So a lot of the things that I've done, that moment you talked about, the anxiousness, when you're in a new place, doing something new when you're traveling.
Yes.
Same thing for work. Sometimes I felt like, how do I do this? And having no idea and building something completely new. I think being adaptable and listening to what people say and working with others to create something, to me, that's the most extraordinary thing. And when I see people who can't adapt, I think that's probably the biggest mistake you can make, especially in this day and age where I think people kind of wish for the good old days where things didn't change. Yeah. And I think what world was that?
Yeah.
Because we're in a world of change, and this is what it's going to be like for the future, right? And I think being flexible and being adaptable is key to being successful in this world and living that good life that we were talking about. So I think the biggest mistake is probably being inflexible and non-adaptable.
Yeah, I think it reminded me of, I don't know if it was like a post that I saw probably on LinkedIn, but about, there's a lot of job hunting that's happening. There's a lot of news around like jobs and shifts and whatnot. But this person, I don't even remember who this person is, but she was just saying that, if I look at like a job role, I thrive more when, I don't have to check boxes, which I think for me, like in social impact, it's just maybe a mindset, a shift in your mindset that you could probably work in an organization and do different things, right? Like not just like what you were hired to do. Mm-hmm. That's what I've seen in most of the nonprofits, or at least, speaking to leaders, people who work there, that it really just changes, constantly. And your role is not just like whatever you've signed up for.
Right. Yeah. Because there's so much to do, and usually we have very small teams, right? And so
there's so much
you
to do.
have to figure out a way to improvise and to learn new things and adapt to new situations. I mean, like you're seeing now with AI, a lot of people kind of scrambling to adapt to a new technology. And I think that's where the diversity of the nonprofit sector is really important, because there are so many different kinds of background stories. I imagine when, I've heard some of the episodes that you've recorded, everybody has a completely different story of how they got to this point.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
Completely different. And I think that's the strength of our sector. It's that we didn't necessarily all study one thing or didn't have one kind of experience that led us here that we can check that box. It's just that we had this crazy experience that got us to this point, and all of I always say it's like Slumdog Millionaire, where you acquire all these different skills along the way, and in the end, they all kind of serve you really well. And I think that combination of skills that you have and experiences from different people makes us stronger.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, if I were to like trace or connect the dots back, like I was a server, I was a bartender, but also I was a corporate lawyer in my past life. Like I did all the things, but actually there are pieces of my past or those careers, if you would call it that, that actually influence how I work today or how I approach things. You also, is it correct that you spent 1 year traveling around the world?
Yes.
And by the way, you just pulled out your mug that I said I would, because we match.
We have matching mugs.
Mine is from Manila, and yours is from where, Marc?
From Ghent in Belgium.
From Ghent in Belgium. There you go.
We're admiring each other's mugs, travel mugs. Yeah.
We are not sponsored by Starbucks.
No, although clearly they should consider it. Yeah.
They should.
They should bring back the "You Are Here" line of mugs, because they were awesome.
Yep.
So yes, it is true that I did travel the world. Yes.
What are maybe one or two favorite moments from that time?
It's a hard thing. People often wonder. They'll ask, "What was the best place that you went to? What was your favorite moment?" But we were on the road for nearly a year, and it was a constant adventure and roller coaster of emotions and experiences. So there were so many moments. But I think at a very high level, what I really appreciated was seeing places like, on the one hand, Singapore and Abu Dhabi, and just seeing how these kinds of cities of the future looked and felt, and seeing how people lived there, and not knowing that much about it too, and kind of walking into these places and just being having my mind completely blown.
Yep.
Was an incredible experience. And then on the other hand, other places that I didn't know much about, for instance, Indonesia and Myanmar, for instance, were also fantastic, but in completely different ways.
Yep.
So just the range The range was humbling.
Yes.
So I'd spent, at that point, I'd been in philanthropy at the Hilton Foundation for 12 and a half years. And I took a sabbatical and went traveling. And it was just amazing to be out on the road and to actually see how people live. Because sometimes when you're in the sector, it becomes very abstract.
Yes.
And then when you go out into the world for that length of time, and you're not working for a foundation or for a nonprofit, you're just going as an individual, you really get to understand how people live, and you get to see the threads that connect people around the world. So that was amazing.
Yeah, it is a privilege to travel, but I think it's just one of the most life-changing, experiences. If you could have it, if you could take that trip, I would say 9 out of 10, you won't regret it.
Right.
There's not a trip that sometimes I had, when you're going to a different place or, somewhere you've never been, there's that, I don't know, anxiety around it. I feel very anxious just because I don't know my way around it. But
yes,
there's always something great, amazing that happens that's like a core memory for you.
Well, it's the best form of education, right? You learn so much. And that feeling that you're talking about, actually, I thought about that a lot when I was traveling, especially towards the end. Because it's like a feeling of, it's not alienation, but it's you feel lost. You feel unmoored. I think unmoored is the right word. And there's a French word for it that I found recently called dépaysement, which means uncountrified, which means you're in a different place. And that feeling as we traveled got shorter and shorter and shorter. So we would land in a place in the beginning, in the first month or two, and for a few days we would just be, in this new place and experiencing new things and trying to make sense. And then as we went along, that time would get shorter and shorter and shorter, and we found ourselves being very adaptable very quickly and getting used to places very quickly.
Yes.
But I actually really enjoy that time that you're talking about. It's anxiety, but it's like anxiety and excitement too, right? It's those two things, which is a very special feeling, and I think it's a good thing for people to experience.
So I know, based on my own experience and the experience of other guests that we've had on the show, is that the off-duty and the professional, the day-to-day work, there might be a connection there, and we want to find out if there is. And we usually kick this off with a lightning round of questions. Marc, are you ready to play?
I am ready.
Okay, so you have cats, correct?
I do. Two, not more. Two. Yeah.
Two. If you were to convince a dog lover to get a cat instead, what would you say to them?
I live in Chicago. It's freezing right now. You don't have to go out and walk them.
That's a good one. Because we have a big dog. Well, my husband, who had the chance to meet earlier, he's in charge of walking our 100-pound dog. So yeah, he can relate. He's probably nodding right now in the studio.
So I should probably tell your husband, yeah, it's way easier with cats.
It's way easier with cats.
They're very self-sufficient.
They're very, yep. But you did mention earlier that they are not in the room with you. Although we would have wanted to, a cameo from your two cats.
But they are locked out because they can be highly inappropriate sometimes on camera. So.
Yep. And so we heard. Okay. What is a trait or a characteristic you had when you were young that you still exhibit today?
I am the kid who always asked why.
Why?
Yes. Why is the sky blue? Why? How does why do people drive cars or motorcycles? Or why?
Yeah.
I would just always pester my mom with questions about why, and I still do. So I still ask that question, like, why? How does it work? Basically, I'm really curious.
So I guess in your work today at Lever for Change, that is a question that you often ask.
I ask why a lot, and I also ask why not.
Why not? Correct.
Yes, and that's probably a more frequent question these days, so I guess I've matured.
If you can download any skill, like in The Matrix, what skill would that be?
I hesitate between being able to read everything or hear everything.
Wait, so those two are you want to do both?
Well, I always feel like there are so many books I want to read, and I just never have enough time to get through them all. And then the same with music. I feel like when I get to a point like where, okay, I feel like I've heard it all, there's always something that will surprise me, and I'll hear something different. And so I think being able to hear more would be great. And at the same time, I appreciate that you can't hear everything or you can't read everything. That's part of the enjoyment. You have to make choices.
Correct. Okay. Final question in this round. On a scale of 1 to 10, rate your odds of winning or at least making it far on a show like Survivor.
Oh, I probably would not last very long.
Explain.
First of all, I'm not a big TV guy, so I don't know all of the rules. I've never watched Survivor,
gotcha.
But based on what I know of it, I probably would not last long. I would not last long on any TV game show, to be honest.
Is it with some of the challenges you think that you might not be able to do?
I think my initial reaction is I'm more of a cerebral person than a physical person.
Got it.
However, I'm very surprisingly resourceful. So I shouldn't undersell myself. Maybe I could get far because I can figure stuff out.
Maybe there are smaller, like Survivor types. I'm pretty sure there are, like smaller challenges, like shorter sprints or something, just to see if you can do it.
If you can adapt it to me, that would be fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we should do a Philanthropy Survivor. Although the jokes for that just write themselves, so maybe not.
Oh my God, I know. I already had like a mental image that I'm gonna try to forget. Before we let you go, we always ask this question, which is, what is your go-to after-hours media? What have you been watching, reading, or listening to lately?
I have been reading, so I just finished Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
Which is right behind me, actually.
Love that book. But I'm very eclectic in what I read.
Me too.
So now I'm on Bowling Alone, which is it's an interesting book, but it's sociology, so it's completely different. And before that, a book about Frederick Douglass. So take your pick.
Okay. Yep.
Music-wise, like right now, I have these weird moments. Like I'm really into Tangerine Dream, this 70s, 80s German electronic band. So I've been listening to a lot of that. The concerts, I think, actually say it all. So this year, I went to see Grace Jones, Linton Kwesi Johnson, who is a reggae poet, and Patti Smith.
Love that. All
completely different ends of the spectrum.
I know there's always, I would say, like these exciting announcements coming from Lever for Change, but is there anything that you want to share with people watching us or listening to us on the platforms?
I would say, yes, we've had lots of exciting announcements. Our network has grown. So I would encourage people to go to our website, leverforchange.org, and to look at the organization section of that, and to have a look through these different organizations that I mentioned that are members of our network that are doing incredible work. Each of the profile pages for each organization has a video, like a 90-second video. And so you can actually get a really good sense of what they're doing. Really inspiring. Like I said, if you're having a down day, just go to that section of our website.
Yes.
And it will really give you hope and inspire you. And hopefully it will inspire you to donate some funds to these organizations, because ultimately that's really what it's about. We're trying to get funding for as many of these great organizations, people, and communities as possible so that we can actually change the world. Like I said, we have more agency than we think.
Definitely. We'll make sure to link your site in our show notes.
Thank
and
you.
Really amplify the work of the organizations that you funded. Marc, thank you so much for joining me on Impact After Hours.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of the show. I really love the episodes that you've done so far. Thank you for including me.
Thanks, Marc.